There's still no end in sight to the political violence in Kenya, which has claimed the lives of nearly 900 people since the disputed elections a month ago, with 27 people reported killed in clashes in western Kenya in the last 24 hours. Yesterday, Kofi Annan announced a breakthrough in the peace negotiations, with both sides pledging to bring an end to the violence and stop all inflammatory statements. But almost immediately, their war of words resumed. With roads blocked, our international editor, Lindsay Hilsum, travelled by air to the worst-hit towns of Sotik and Kisii, where peace looks a distant prospect.
The villages are burning. The people have fled. Along Kenya's Rift Valley, signs that this conflict is far from over. In the last 48 hours, it's moved to the Kisii area, about 100 miles west of Nairobi. We flew over the tea plantations to a village called Sotik, towards a clearing where we saw a police helicopter. We'd heard there'd been fighting around here between the Kisii people and the Kalenjin, especially the sub-tribe, the Kipsigis. We could see hundreds of people, men running. They were going up the road. They were hiding in the tea. They were armed men, warriors. The helicopter landed. They watched us. As we got out, we couldn't believe what we were seeing and hearing. Above the rotary blades, war cries. Thousands surrounded us. Some were only boys, some were older. Kipsigis warriors with bows and arrows, sticks, machetes, axes, clubs, spears. They weren't threatening us, they were smiling. But they wanted to show their strength. One of the commanders was trying to keep control, to hold the crowd back.
We've just landed here amongst the Kipsigis people. In Nairobi, the politicians are talking, but here they're clearly ready to fight. And whatever is being said in the capital, the conflict in Kenya is widening.
They say they're fighting because the elections were rigged. They voted for the opposition. And over the past 2 days, they've been fighting the Kisii tribe, about half of whom had voted for the ruling party. They blamed the government for the conflict.
A lot of people here are having weapons, and they are fighting each other out of something which can be, which the government is able to protect. So we are even compelling the international bodies to come in our aid. We are even asking the UN to bring the soldiers, the UN soldiers to Kenya, because the situation in the ground is very bad news. The government is not able to contain the kind of violence which is there.
They started fighting now because their MP, a member of the opposition, was murdered earlier this week.
Recently, we witnessed the killing of an MP who is one of us. We are very bitter about it, and we are asking the international community, and especially the FBI, to inquire into the death of these two MPs. We are very bitter, and this war will not stop.
At the hospital in Kisii, 30 miles away, we saw the victims of conflict. 19 people admitted with arrow wounds over the last 2 days, many others injured by machetes and sticks. This young man had just come in this morning, a Kisii, wounded by an arrow in the neck, which he had pulled out himself.
The enemy, they are called the Kalenjin tribes, and they are fighting with us because they believe we voted on the wrong side.
The injured people said there weren't enough police on the ground. They feel unprotected and blame the government for doing nothing. The irony is that many of these people also voted for the opposition, but that's being lost as political strife turns to ethnic conflict. As we lifted off from Sotik, the Kipsigis warriors moved away to avoid the helicopter downdraft. Back to the tea plantations, or maybe back to the boundary with the Kisii people to burn villages and fight, bringing chaos and despair to Kenya. Lindsay Hilsum, Channel 4 News, Sotik.
And the cameraman working with Lindsay there was Soren Monk.